Friends from the Road.
You are now listening to the Friends from the Road podcast.
Gaining new friends along the journey. Sharing stories that inspire, encourage, and motivate.
Friends from the Road podcast.
Now here's your host, Daniel Hurd.
Welcome, everyone. I'm here in New England. This is my first episode from the area while I'm back home. And, you know, it's the first few days here, it was beautiful, sunny, warm. Felt like I didn't even leave Texas. And then it shifted over on Sunday, I think it was. It got cloudy. It's been very humid, and I just feel it in my bones. I feel it in my knees, and thankfully I've been getting rides where I need it, and staying with friends that I've known for many years, and I'm very fortunate to have my friend from the road that I'm staying with this time, but he's been a friend for many, many years. Michael Hanley is here today to talk about some of his experiences. Mike, welcome.
Hey, how you doing? I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. I'm glad that we got the opportunity to do this. You have a pretty interesting story. For everybody, you know, in case you hear any random noises, Mike's got Tourette's. So you might hear some random stuff. That's all right. We keep it going. So, Mike, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself when we first met. Which was, 2013 or 14?
Yeah, that sounds about right. At that time, I had a shop on Somerset Ave and fixing cars, Jeeps, whatever came through. And I think we met through a mutual friend, Brian.
Yeah, Brian Palucci. It was actually funny for everybody. Last night we were trying to figure it out. We were like, man, how do we meet? And we were sitting there thinking about it. I was like, I have no idea. And he goes, hey, do you know Brian Palucci? And that was immediate, like, switch flipped on. Yeah, that's him. That's exactly how we know each other.
Right.
And thankfully we hit him up last night. We were going to record this last night, but we had the opportunity to hang out all together and, just enjoy ourselves. But yeah, back then when I first met you, you had that shop. You were working on everything and everything. I remember coming to your shop to hang out at like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you'd still be working. So you were definitely a workaholic. Let's talk about your workaholic addiction.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That shop I actually lived in for a couple years. That was pretty crazy. We were just trying to save money so we could bank a little bit of money while we worked. But pretty much worked 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And living there made it a lot worse too, because you get out of bed and then boom, you're there. And you can't really go to bed because you never really leave. So yeah, it was pretty wild. I did that for quite a long time. I actually lived in a shop for a little bit even before Fifth Street too.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, when I was on Fifth Street before Somerset, I stayed in that shop for about a year or two, right before I moved there. So
you've been doing the whole workaholic thing, not having that separation for a while.
Yeah, my whole life, definitely.
What really got you, I know when I left on my journey, you were, I think, still at Somerset, or transitioning from there.
Yeah.
And then you ended up going somewhere else for a little while, which ended up not working out. And do you want to talk about that at all? Want to talk about how that transitioned to the realization?
Yeah. The business started to really expand on Somerset Ave, and I hired my first guy, a buddy of mine named Rob, and you may have met him.
I don't know. I probably have, because I met a lot of people at that shop.
Yeah, true that, yeah. We started getting really big. So, let's see, towards the end of the Somerset Ave, my landlord was going through some issues, and he wound up selling the place, and then basically I had like a month to move and find a new place. So way too short notice, obviously. So I wound up having to take him to court, and got it extended because we never really had hard feelings against each other, so we worked it out. So then, last minute, I finally found a shop in East Taunton.
Now, you said 30 days wasn't enough, obviously. Explain that. Why wasn't it enough?
It's really hard to find a automotive shop in this area. I mean, I'm sure it is in a lot of areas, but this area, it's really tough. I was looking everywhere from, this area to Canton down to Fall River, and it was either, it either wasn't big enough or it was too expensive, or, it just took a while to find something that actually worked. So yeah, finally wound up settling on a building in East Taunton, but the ceilings weren't exactly tall enough, so we had to renovate it.
Oh, really?
And yeah, that was...
Yeah, so what type of renovations if the ceiling wasn't tall enough? Like, you had to extend the ceilings?
Yeah, we had to tear down the whole inside of the shop, and the roof was tall enough. The ceilings just weren't, so we had to tear down the ceilings and put up some LVLs and expand it up to 12 feet so we could fit the lifts in. So we dumped a boatload of money into doing that, signed a 5-year lease, hoping that would last us. And then within a year, the city came in and told us we had too many vehicles in the parking lot, and they cut me. They wanted me at I think 8 vehicles, which at the time I had a few more employees. So I mean, we had 5 on our own, plus whatever's sitting there that's kind of long term, and cars that are coming in and out, and it was too much. They were gonna fine us $350 a day per car until we got down to where we needed to be.
To the limit.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Pretty wild.
That's insane. Now, did you know that there were limits on properties like that before you decided to rent that property?
No, I never really. It never really came up as an issue before.
Yeah.
So it's just something, another learning experience. Tough one.
I'm sure, especially with that huge investment, getting everything set up, and then trying to figure out what you were going to do after that. So what did you end up doing?
So another shop was up for rent at the time, behind where my father is. He owns a karate studio in the same building. So he let me know that went up for rent. So we moved over there, and then we had to renovate that building. Obviously, not as much as the previous one. I got lucky with this one. I just needed to get lifts and install the lifts and set it up as a shop and all that good stuff. Build an office. So yeah, we did that, and then coasted there for a little bit. But at that point, the expenses were starting to exceed the income.
Really?
A pretty decent amount. So I was just kind of floating the business along using lines of credit and credit cards and stuff like that, which in my head I knew wasn't sustainable. But I think pride was a bigger issue, so I couldn't let go.
Yeah, I get that as well. That pride thing gets in our ways, man. It does.
The ego, the voice in your head.
And I think that it's, for everybody out there, including myself, anybody that's ever dealt with this before or, struggling potentially to deal with these things, pulling out more credit does not help any situation, regardless. So if you're already going down the tube financially, don't keep digging yourself in. Good advice?
Yeah, I mean, I finally got to a point where, ever since the Somerset Ave shop, stress had just been becoming a major part of my life. I felt like, I was all I really cared about, thought about, talked about was work. It started to really consume my life. And then it got to a point where, it just felt like there was an elephant sitting on my chest 24/7. And it was really, really rough. Like I was losing it. So I talked to a bankruptcy lawyer and called a few different lawyers, got really lucky with this guy, Brian Lewis. And the guy gave me like a half an hour, 45 minutes of talk time on the phone where, he asked me a bunch of questions and he tried to get some numbers and he was trying to get an idea how I was feeling. And that one conversation relieved a lot of stress. Because, it kind of made me realize there's other options. And, obviously the last thing I ever wanted to do. But, he basically said it was worth coming down and having a meeting with him, bringing all my paperwork, my bills, everything so we can go through it. And he took a look at it and was basically like, you're out of your mind. You should have given up a long time ago.
Yeah. So, obviously you didn't want to give it up. That was like your dream to own your own shop and have that.
Yeah.
How difficult was to take that step to go to that lawyer and do that that process?
I mean, at that point, I think I was so overwhelmingly stressed that it wasn't that hard. Once I realized it was an option, I was like, all right, well, screw it. Can't be any worse than this. And after the first meeting with him, it was like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders because he's like, he just made me feel like, it's not my fault. I did the best I could. You live and you learn. You make mistakes, and then, you keep going. You don't just give up. And so, we went through the whole bankruptcy process, and I wound up declaring bankruptcy. And it was like a breath of fresh air, and it took a lot of weight off my shoulders. And like I was telling you yesterday, I remember standing in my parking lot with $3 in my hand, and they had at that point like frozen my bank account, my credit cards. Like literally, the only money I had was the $3 that I had in my hand, and it was just like, wow, like all that work, all that everything I did to stand here with $3 in my hand. It kind of really like.
There's a realization at that point.
Yeah. It was definitely, it was quite the realization. It was like, wow, like money's not everything, work's not everything. Like standing there after all that and just being like, like what did I really gain from it? I don't know. It just definitely was a massive turning point for me. Like it was definitely. Now,
obviously hindsight's 2020, obviously, right? So
yeah, definitely.
Would you, obviously you did your best, you did everything you could. Do you think that you would have gone sooner knowing the knowledge you know now, or do you think you still would have potentially held on and tried to make it last?
Shoot, I don't know. Knowing what I know now, I would hope I would never let myself get to that point, but I think if it did, I would definitely try to resolve it a lot earlier on than trying to struggle through it by myself in silence. The other thing, too, is I never talked to anybody about stuff, It was just like work. I was such a zombie at that point. People would come and hang out at the shop, and I'd just be working the whole time.
Yep. No, that's how we hung out. So I get it.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But, things changed. That realization changed your life, and I want to get into that. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about how life has changed since Somerset and the other places.
Definitely.
All right, when we get back.
Hey folks, I want to talk about the helmet that saved my life after a major accident. Burn Helmets is a helmet that I have used for years and will continue to use Burn to protect my head. Burn focuses on designing stylish, innovative, and purpose-driven helmets that appeal to riders looking for something a little out of the ordinary. Being the original all-season helmet brand, Burn is a team that's passionate about being active and having fun while being safe. At Burn, they embrace all aspects of the activities that we love, and they strive to make high-quality products that speak to kids, commuters, casual riders, even dedicated athletes. Whether you ride for transportation, exercise, or just a great way to get outdoors, they have your head covered. Check out burnhelmets.com and see the great deals happening in the Burn Barn. Burn Helmets. Stay out there.
Hey, Mike. So we're back, and everyone, thank you for joining us again. Mike, before the break, we were talking about some of the struggles that you were going through, and they're struggles, but in reality, a lot of people deal with that.
Yeah.
The day to day, trying to keep things afloat, just trying to survive, and in a sense, not knowing when to stop or ask for help until it's, obviously it was too late.
Right.
But the transition happened. The realizations happened. You saw what you needed to do. You moved into your new shop. You got it set up, and then things kind of started changing for you.
Yeah.
You went from working 24/7 or practically 24/7 to what was your schedule after that?
Yeah. At that point, I made a decision that I was done working as much as I did. It made me realize a lot of things. Everyone has stresses. Everyone's got bills they got to pay, and mortgages they got to pay, rent, whatever. Everyone has it, and it's like, one way or the other, you have to meet those things and those goals, but you don't necessarily have to work your life away and make that your number one priority, because either way you're going to get through it.
The thing that I was always told growing up is you work hard, you play hard, but you have to be able to play hard to work hard. So you can't just work hard like you were doing.
Yeah, working hard seems easy, and playing hard it seems to be the difficult side, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so I decided right off the rip I wasn't going to work weekends anymore. That was probably the biggest change I made, which was great. I would always find a reason to go to work on the weekends, Saturday, Sunday. Like, it wasn't hard. Like, customers want their vehicle fixed, and they always want it done yesterday. So it was easy to drag myself in. But so I stopped that, and then I also stopped allowing myself to work till midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. So
you set yourself time frames.
Yeah.
So like a real business would do, like not 9 to 5, but obviously a little different.
Right. Yeah. I think I set my late time to be like 8 p.m.
on a busy night.
Yeah, I get there at 9:30 in the morning, usually 9:30. So that made a huge difference. The weekends made the biggest difference at all, and then
So what'd you end up doing since you had all this extra free time? What'd you end up getting into? Because you got to fill that time.
So I decided to try and go kayaking one weekend by myself. I threw on some music, grabbed my kayak, jumped into the river, and I did it by myself. So I was like, I can Uber back to my car or walk back. Like, I'll figure something out. I didn't really care. So I got in the river, threw on some headphones, and floated down the river, and it was honestly the best thing I had done in so long. It was just insane. I absolutely fell in love. And it was so nice to just get out of the busyness and sit in a kayak in nature and just
and go with the flow.
Yeah.
Literally
exactly.
The flow of the river.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I was hooked. That was it. I was kayaking every chance I got, every single weekend, sometimes in the afternoon after work, because my shop's right on the river. So I'd get out of work, I'd jump in the river right there, I'd get out, I'd call one of my buddies, hey, come pick me up, I'm here. And they'd come grab me and swing me back. And yeah, so that entire summer, the rest of it, I think I started in, April or May. So that whole summer, I just kayaked.
A lot of kayaking then.
Yeah.
A lot of arm pals.
Yeah, a lot of kayaking.
Now, so you only had one kayak then. I'll tell everybody now, since I'm staying at your house, you got, I think, at least 4 or 5. So obviously you've gotten some friends into it at least to come with you.
Yeah, definitely. Now,
do you think that you... What got you into kayaking? Obviously you probably already had a kayak, but what was it that kayaking did for you? Kind of, you know my story, and a lot of people listening know my story about how cycling is that for me. And, and for me, it was because a friend got me on a bicycle. But what got you on a kayak?
I don't know. I think
or gravitated towards. I guess.
Yeah, I think I really just wanted to get out into nature, and I had a kayak, and I don't know. I figured that was just kind of the easiest thing for me to try.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody necessarily pulled me into it. It was just kind of like
I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, I think I think the first time I went, I was staying at KOA campground in Middleborough, and I was trying that. Just anything to get into nature on the weekends was basically my thing.
Yeah.
And and while I was there, I was just kind of bored, and so I grabbed my kayak and put in at the Masket, which is across the street, and and then that was it. I love it. I can still picture those trips too, like vividly.
It's amazing when you got those memories. Now, I know you were doing a lot of local stuff, but at some point, I know from your social media that you were taking weekend trips to different places to explore and adventure.
Yeah.
What's your best place that you've been to so far?
Oh man, I think.
That's a loaded question, I know.
Yeah, I had two real favorites. I think one was it's a mining town in Pennsylvania, Centralia.
Okay.
Centralia was like a town where a coal mine had caught fire underground, and it's been burning since like the 80s or something like that.
Still burning?
Yeah, to this day
Really?
it's still burning. And so the whole town was abandoned, I think, except for like 2 or 3 people are left there. They kind of really pushed everybody out, tried to buy up all their properties because it was dangerous. Like holes were opening up in the ground, and streets were sinking in. So
It's crazy. I don't know this town that in Pennsylvania you're talking about, but dude, I've seen towns in Kansas and Oklahoma that are the same thing.
really,
And it's craziness. They weren't on fire. They were just like lead towns. So.
wow, yeah, the Graffiti Highway is out there. You've
Graffiti
ever heard of
Highway.
that? Yeah.
Okay.
It's gone now. Since I guess when they really started restricting people
From getting out there.
Yeah, they I guess people kept going, and so finally the owners of the property decided to bury Graffiti Road, which was a really sad thing.
They buried it?
Yeah, they like Graffiti Road was like this. It was the old highway that the town used to use, but the coal mine was burning underneath it, which was kind of cool because at night there's a big crack on Graffiti Highway and you could still see steam coming out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was all tagged. The whole, mile and a half long or so highway was all graffitied. So it was incredible. It was beautiful. But yeah, they wound up covering it all up.
Wow, that's a shame.
Yeah, bummer.
But
it was
unfortunately, there are people that just do things that we shouldn't do yet, and that's why we lose those things. So, so Mike, you've transitioned. When I left in 2018, you were, I'm pretty sure, still a workaholic.
cool. Yeah, definitely.
And then we've kept in touch over this time, and it's great to see that you transitioned and are really living now, I'd say.
Yeah,
in a sense.
definitely feel.
And I'm really glad that we had the opportunity to really take this time to get together and hang out and
Yeah, definitely.
just spend some time together. It's been too long. But is there anything that you would like, to talk to the listeners directly about that you would tell them, any advice?
Just don't take life too seriously. I really wish I didn't work so hard so many years. I mean, it wasn't a lost cause. I still am where I am now because of the work that I put in. But I wish I realized sooner that, like, it can't be your whole life. Like, you can't let it consume you. You have to be able to balance work and play. And it's so important because, like, when you're stressed about work and you let that stress consume you, then you bring everybody around you down. Like, it's contagious, and misery loves company. So
Yeah, that's true. And unfortunately, over time, people tend to push us away to get away from that misery. So
yeah,
But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Now that I've found this happiness, I feel like I've kind of like spread that happiness around, and I pick up when people are down a lot easier now. I feel like I can understand feelings a lot easier now
Because you can relate, definitely.
Yeah, and like I think it's important to try and bring other people up that are around you that you see aren't doing too well. Just say something, ask people, actually like express sincere concern. Like people just don't talk about things and emotions enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Like a lot of people like to bottle it up, and I don't want to burden anybody with it or whatever. Like I was like that. I kept a lot to myself.
Yeah, I think a lot of times with that kind of mindset too, because I was the same way. I get that. I felt like I was not even a burden. That I was going to show weakness. Someone's going to see a weakness in me that they were going to take advantage of.
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. Definitely, that makes sense.
So yeah, is there anything else you wanted to say before?
I don't know.
No?
That's
Well,
it.
yeah. So guys, definitely make sure you guys are out there. As I always talk about it. Go have a conversation with somebody. If you see somebody struggling, say hi to them. Interact. We can't fix everybody's problems, but we can be genuinely willing to listen and be willing to be part of their transformation, whatever that transformation may be. So,
Definitely.
Mike, it's been a pleasure to have you. I really appreciate the time to get this episode done and to spend time with you and everything. So,
Yeah,
and this
same
cat here. So, if you guys have heard any meowing in the background, I've had a very needy cat right up my leg most of the time. So,
This cat's got something to say.
yeah, she does. Oh, she does actually. There she is. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining the episode. Mike, thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure, and hopefully it won't be 3 more years till we see each other again.
Definitely, right.
So.
Copyright OPAAT Movement 2021.